Welcome to PlayStation Corner. My name is Jeep, and today we're reviewing a copy of Neptunia Riders VS Dogoos on the PlayStation 5. If you enjoy this content, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. Alex and I would really appreciate it. Also, if you find this game interesting and want to pick it up, let us know in the comments down below. Without wasting any more time, let's get right into the review. Neptunia Riders VS Dogoos releases on January 28th on both PS4 and PS5. I made my playthrough on the standard PS5, so that's what I'm going to be judging here today. My playthrough took me roughly 3 hours of gameplay to get through all 5 stages and 15 levels. Let's start with an overview of the game and some of its mechanics. Neptunia Riders VS Dogoos is a unique blend of racing and creature collection, centering around high-speed motorcycle action. The objective is to ride your motorcycle around various different arenas and different areas, collecting creatures known as Dogoos. First off, those Dogoos remind me a whole lot of the Dragon Quest, like Hershey Kiss dude. I don't know what his name is, but never played that series, but they really remind me of that design, which I actually do like. They're pretty cute. Your success hinges on collecting all the Dogoos, as many as you can, while your opponents are also trying to stop you from doing that, collecting them themselves. Players can jump, attack, and even weaponize the Dogoos by throwing them at opponents to disrupt their progress. This fast-paced gameplay is paired with a blend of customization options and story-driven campaign. So that's a quick little overview. Let's get to the gameplay. The gameplay draws a strong parallel to Mario Kart Battle Mode from my experiences. Of course, in Mario Kart Battle Mode, you have your array of shells and bananas and mushroom power-ups and stuff like that. There's a lot more depth to the Mario Kart Battle Mode, whereas this game, you pretty much just have your Dogoos. Now, the map does have different speed-up things, high jump areas, so there is like different aspects to this game where that makes the Battle Mode kind of unique, but you know, it kind of lacks a bunch of individuality like Mario Kart does, again, with like mushrooms and shells. You pretty much just have like Dogoos, speed up boosts, and jump boosts and stuff like that. But I did find it actually pretty rewarding to go throughout the map and kind of drive around with your motorcycle, collecting as many Dogoos as you can. I found that pretty rewarding because, I don't know, something about collecting as many Dogoos as you can as fast as you can is really appealing. The mechanics are pretty simple, like I mentioned, but the pacing can feel kind of uneven at times. Early stages are dominated with lengthy tutorials and dialogue sequences, which significantly outweigh the actual playtime, in my experience. I felt myself really kind of, and I'm a guy who likes story, but I found myself listening to a lot of dialogue to be a bit boring in this one. I felt like I just kind of wanted to race, but instead of racing, I was, going through a bunch of text menus, which wasn't my favorite. The mechanics are really solid. The ability to drift and jump are really responsive, and driving around the maps is really cool. But again, the short match duration, which each match seemed to be less than a minute, left room for a bit to desire. The option to skip the dialogue is available and speed it up and stuff like that, but it removes the story from the game entirely, which I don't like. I'm a guy who likes story, and if I'm going to play this game all the way through like I did, I want to figure out why I'm doing it. But the game makes it really kind of sluggish to do so. Another thing is I didn't find it very difficult at all. There was very little challenge up until the very last battle, but of course I'm not going to mention any of that. I don't want spoilers. Every single other stage didn't offer really any significant difficulty to my taste. Again, I ran through all 5 stages that the game has to offer, and there's 3 levels each, and it never really got that difficult. I know that's a bit subjective because difficulty levels are going to depend on each individual person playing the game, but for me, all 15 levels through the 5 stages, I did not really find it that difficult. But it does seem like the point of it is not the difficulty, but the speed running of it. At the end of each level, you receive your time for completing the course, and that offers you to go back later on and try to beat your score. So if you look at it from a stance of speed running, that's the difficulty, is to keep improving on your previous score. And it adds a lot of limitless replayability as well, because you can always go back in and run through the course again to try to beat your previous time. Let's talk about graphics. Visually, Neptunia Riders VS Dogoos is underwhelming, especially underutilizing the power of the PS5. I know from my experience, in games, I typically like a 60 FPS experience, but if it's going to offer 30 FPS, I would like it to be very visually stunning. PS5 games offer a 30 FPS mode with really good looking graphics. This game, unfortunately, kind of offers not a good experience. It's 30 FPS when you're actually riding around your motorcycle, and the textures and the map world itself, it's pretty underwhelming. A lot of flat textures on the ground, like the grass, it doesn't have any depth to it. It's flat, not moving around. If there's like walls or rock textures, there's pretty much just like a bumpy surface with a flat texture on top of that. not really that good and impressive. Honestly, if that was a better experience, I would have had a better impression overall in the game. And honestly, I find it quite distracting when we got to 30 FPS because the dialogue cutscenes are all in 60 FPS. Now, they're still the same flat textures, not that impressive, but at least at 60 FPS, something to look at. It's not that great, and it's very distracting to go from 60 to 30 FPS like that. Something positive I want to note here is the battle arenas. Each stage has its own battle arena that changes from stage to stage, offering a unique look and feel each time. For example, in stage 1, you're in a grassy open area. Stage 2 then has a battle arena that's very rocky, underground cave feel. And as you go through each stage, it changes into something new. But they did a good job making each map look really cool and unique. Let's talk about the music in the game. I really enjoy the atmosphere the music creates along with the maps. Each stage has music that fits with each theme in a kind of metal prog rock style. That's kind of the best way I could describe it. And that's really up my alley. I'm a huge prog rock fan. I love Rush. And yeah, the prog rock kind of metal feel to each level is pretty cool. It's not a soundtrack you're going to want to download or listen to on like a personal basis, but it's definitely nice to have in the game while you're playing for sure. Let's kind of go over some story here. I have a little description to read. The narrative follows two friends endowed with goddess-like powers, which remain dormant outside their home world where they find themselves without their memories. A vast number of Dogoos are appearing and threatening the land. Their journey takes them across various worlds to collect Dogoos while seeking to restore the memories and find their lost friends. Each mission helps these friends remember who they are, with Dogoo leaders acting as their primary antagonist. And I think I mentioned already, but let me just mention it again. There is a lot of dialogue. Now, it's necessary to understand the story of the game, which is important to me in games. However, I feel like this story was kind of phoned in, and there's just a lot of dialogue. It's not really, it's just a bit too much for my taste, mainly because the gameplay itself, again, only lasts about a minute or so. The whole point of it is to speedrun it. So you get done as fast as you can, and then you sit through like 4 or 5 times longer dialogue. I sat there for 5 minutes one time reading all the dialogue. That's just too much when we're talking about 1-minute spurts of gameplay. Customization, though, is a standout feature. It offers players the ability to personalize their characters' costume, accessories, and motorcycle appearances. And it's beyond aesthetics. Players can enhance their bike's performance using their battle points that they earn after each round. This system provides a sense of progression and allows to a degree of strategic depth, adding players to tailor their vehicles and their suits to their playstyle. And I want to mention too, I don't really watch or play a lot of anime content, and this game kind of seems very inspired by anime to me. It's pretty obvious to me that they had to translate this game from a different language to English, which isn't a deal breaker by any means, but I just wanted to mention it because it's pretty obvious at times that the translation isn't perfect. Just something to consider if you're sensitive to that kind of thing. But I did still find it enjoyable, especially with the actual voice acting that they do a really good job in this game of real people voice acting. It's not just all reading the dialogue. You get to listen to the people speak if you so choose. But I'm not really into anime that much, so that could be a common thing throughout the anime community for English-speaking people. Overall, Neptunia Riders offers a kind of a novel concept with its mix of racing and creature collection, but its execution leaves me a lot to be desired. If the story was more up my alley, I probably would have loved my gameplay a bit more than I did, and I would probably overlook a lot of the shortcomings of the game because it was legitimately fun to play. I mean that. If they just could have incorporated that dialogue into the racing experience instead of having to pause every time you were finished a map, I would have had a lot more fun with it. But again, being ripped from that gameplay from long stretches of time, and then when you finally get back into the gameplay, it lasts about a minute or less, it kind of hinders the experience. That's why I'm going for a 5 out of 10 on this one. I think it's fair because I really did like the gameplay, and the story wasn't a bad story by any means. I enjoyed the final, area where I got the last bit of the story. I enjoyed it. It was cute, but it's really just the delivery for me in this game. That's what really is hindering this. It's not the gameplay itself. It's not the story itself. It's the delivery method of those. And of course, it just needs to be better than 30 FPS in the racing mode. That's the bread and butter. That's what you're there for, is to race your motorcycles around collecting your Dogoos. And in that area with the low textures, I could forgive if it was a higher frame rate, but it's not. It's a lower frame rate with lower textures. For those willing to overlook those flaws, Neptunia Riders vs. Dogoos provides moments of entertainment. It's a game that is best approached with tempered expectations. That's the wrap up today's review of Neptunia Riders vs. Dogoos. What do you think of the game? Do you agree with me, or do you think I was totally wrong? Let us know in the comments down below. This is my first comprehensive review of the game, not only in this channel, but really ever. So go easy with me on the comments, please. Especially with this game, as it's a series and a genre I've never really played anything like it before. So I want to thank you guys for hearing me out. This was really fun to do for all you guys. And please make sure to drop a like in this video on your way out and subscribe for more lists, deals, and weekly content from PlayStation Corner. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.